Hey folks, today we're making Mochi ice cream, aka the ice cream that you have to chew. It's a good thing that this episode is sponsored by Sensodyne, the #1 dentist recommended brand for tooth sensitivity. If you happen to be in the 40% of folks that experience tooth sensitivity, Sensodyne's going to make eating these little guys a whole lot easier. Let's get down to basics. Alright, so the first thing we gotta do is make ice cream, for which we're gonna need a master ice cream base. This is comprised of 2 cups of heavy cream, 1 cup of milk, a half cup of granulated sugar, and a generous pinch of kosher salt. Hoisted over to the stove top and brought to a bare simmer, while whisking occasionally to make sure that the salt and sugar are fully dissolved. While that comes to a simmer, we're gonna start preparing our eggs, 6 egg yolks to be precise. You could use anywhere between 4 to 6 egg yolks in this recipe to determine the richness and thickness of your resultant custard. Don't throw away these egg whites. You can use these to make an egg white omelet to offset all the ice cream that you've been eating. We're also going to need to whisk these egg yolks one-handedly, so to stabilize the bowl, we're going to wrap it in a moistened kitchen towel. Once our milk, heavy cream, sugar, and salt mixture comes to a bare simmer, we're going to give it one final whiskin before bringing it back over to our awaiting egg yolks, into which we're going to begin to slowly ladle it. Extremely slowly at first, just a few drops at a time, while whisking constantly to make sure that you don't scramble your eggs. But as we go through this process, we're going to temper our eggs, which is going to prevent them from forming curds. So after 2 or 3 ladlefuls, you should be able to just kind of pour it in. Once we've whisked in about 1/3 of the milk mixture, we're going to whisk the egg yolks back into the pot and return the pot over medium-low flame, whisking constantly and cooking gently until it reaches 171 degrees Fahrenheit and/or comfortably coats the back of a spoon. Take it off the heat, and now's the part where we add our flavor. You can make literally any flavor you want, but I'm going to go for some flavors that are a little bit more popular in Japan. The first batch is going to be about 2 tablespoons worth of matcha powder, whisked thoroughly until mostly dissolved, and once a beautiful shade of emerald green, poured directly into an airtight container of some kind that we're going to cover up and let hang out in the fridge for at least 4 hours and up to overnight. The colder your custard is, the faster it will freeze and the creamier your ice cream will be. Next up, how about a tablespoon and a half of ube extract, which has a unique, sweet, earthy flavor and a distinctly royal purple color. Lastly, some charcoal black and admittedly kind of hard to get out of the jar, black sesame seed paste. This, along with some whole sesame seeds tossed in during the ice cream's churning phase, makes for a nutty, toasty, creamy ice cream that has to be tried to be believed. Once your custards are completely chilled, it's time to give them a quick trip through a fine mesh sieve. This is going to catch any accidentally coagulated bits of egg or chunks of whatever flavor you decided to add to your ice cream. And then, kids, it's time to churn using the churning method of your choice. I'm going with a big ol' ice cream machine because I have one and because I want to use it. In the case of this machine, we are churning for 20 minutes until you start hearing the motor strain a little bit and the ice cream resembles very, very thick soft serve. Same deal with the matcha ice cream, but with the black sesame seed ice cream, like I said, we're going to be adding some whole toasted black sesame seeds. This is going to add a nice look and texture to your ice cream and even more delicious sesame flavor. Now that all of our cream has been iced, it's time to dump it into yet another airtight container and let it camp out in the freezer again for another 4 hours or up to overnight until nice and firm. But you don't want it rock hard because now we're going to use a cookie dough scooper or melon baller to scoop the ice cream into little round mounds. The rounder your mound, the more magnificent your mochi. As you can see, I let my green tea ice cream go overnight, which made it too hard. A hot water ice cream scoop dip will make short work of hardened ice cream. Kinda. Don't let your ice cream get this hard. You want these little clumps of ice cream to have a nice round top and a nice flat bottom, which is going to give your resulting mochi the desired shape and uniformity. You'll also notice that I'm scooping them into muffin cups for easy retrieval from the freezer. Maybe don't use bright neon colored ones if you're filming it for a cooking show because then all your ice cream is going to look the same color. But no matter, this guy's headed back into the freezer until our mochi dough is ready to wrap. To make our mochi dough into a large microwave safe bowl goes 100 grams of mochiko flour, a type of sweet glutinous rice flour, along with 50 grams of granulated sugar, which we are going to tiny whisk until homogeneous before adding 3/4 of a cup of plain old tap water. Regular size whisk this until it is completely smooth and no lumps remain. Then we're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl, cover this guy in plastic wrap, and microwave on full power for 1 metric minute. Then we're going to retrieve it from the microwave and using a wetted rubber spatula, give it a little mix. The objective here is just to make sure that the dough is cooking evenly. So just make sure that the mixture looks nice and mixed, recover it with plastic wrap, and plop it back in the microwave for an additional minute. All in all, we're going to microwave and mix this mixture 3 times. Throughout this process, you're going to see your dough transform from a white paste into a semi-translucent ectoplasmic goo. Next up, believe it or not, we need to roll out this goo into a single thin sheet, which we're going to do by virtue of a whole truckload of sifted potato starch sprinkled evenly over a large sheet of parchment paper, onto which we can dump our molten mochi mass, still hot from the microwave. We are then thoroughly coating both a rolling pin and our dough with more potato starch, and then carefully, gently rolling it out to about a 12 by 16 inch square. That's not a square, that's a rectangle, about a 12 by 16 inch rectangle. Keep dusting it as much as you like with more potato starch or cornstarch. We don't want it sticking at all to the parchment paper nor the rolling pin. And we want the surface as even and smooth as possible. Then we're going to use our parchment paper to lift the mochi dough onto a rimmed baking sheet and park it in the fridge for about 30 minutes or until firmed up. And now we begin the process of cutting it into rounds that we can roll our ice cream in. I'm using a 3.5 inch biscuit cutter, which turned out to be a little small. You might want to go 4 inches. And yes, I can hear you giggling from here. Once you've got your round cut out, it's time to dust as much of the potato starch off it as possible using a pastry brush. Yes, I know I'm using a grill brush. I couldn't find my pastry brush, and no, this doesn't work as well. Then, one at a time, it's time to retrieve your little ice cream mounds and plop them rounded side down into the center of your mochi dough. Then we are folding the dough up and around the sides of the ice cream, encasing it in what's essentially a chewy, finger-safe ice cream delivery system. Pinch the edges closed, and then to really tighten things up, we're going to wrap the mochi ice cream in a sheet of plastic wrap. Again, rounded side down, twisting the plastic wrap tight so as to even out and compress the mochi shell against the ice cream. I'm going to be honest, this takes a little bit of practice, but not nearly as much practice as the years it takes to learn how to make real mochi from scratch. So continue to feel warmth and gratitude for technology as you rinse and repeat with your remaining mochi dough and ice cream balls. Once everybody's all wrapped up tight in plastic wrap and replaced in the now empty cavity in the muffin tin, rounded side up, they need to hang out in the freezer for at least an hour before they can be retrieved and snacked upon, or placed into a more attractive package for long-term storage. But me, I'm going to check out some mini cross-sections of these little bad boys, and there you have it, we made some mochi ice cream, a thin, delightfully chewy casing enveloping the creamy dairy dessert of your choice. My personal favorite is the toasted black sesame seed, but even I, someone who takes perfect, impeccable care of their teeth, can feel some twinges of sensitivity upon my first bite. That's why I'm thankful for the sponsor of today's episode, Sensodyne Rapid Relief Toothpaste. If you're one of the 40% of people that experience twinges with hot, cold, or sugary foods and drinks, you may suffer from tooth sensitivity. This is a problem that persists, which can be irritating if you've just made some mochi ice cream. But with Sensodyne Rapid Relief Toothpaste, you'll be back to eating sugary confections like this one in a matter of days. No wonder it's the #1 dentist recommended brand for sensitivity relief. Follow the link in the video description for more info.